Hello everyone and welcome back. So I wanted to make a video today talking about a questline that was cut from The Witcher 3 that many of us Witcher 2 fans, and I suppose Witcher fans that are aware of it in general, are still frustrated about today. This was a questline that involved one of the central characters of The Witcher 2 and his continuation in The Witcher 3. This character was of course Iorveth. But the questline that was cut involved a lot of Witcher 2 and Witcher 1 characters other than Iorveth. For example, involved characters like Roche and Vess and Vincent Mies, Vincent Mies, I'm not sure how to say it. I think it's Vincent Mies, which was one of the central characters in The Witcher 1, and it would have just been cool to have all these characters, but it was cut. For example, both Roche and Vess's stories were expanded upon much more greatly than they were in The Witcher 3. Almost all of the information we have surrounding this cut content comes from some leaked 2014 documents about The Witcher 3's development and a Reddit post, which in itself contains content from a post a story developer made on I think it's the Something Awful forums. So what I'll do is read this post, which I think summarizes it really well, and it explains why Iorveth and the wider questline was cut, and what content would have been in it outside of the Iorveth stuff. And then I'll share my thoughts around it, and briefly discuss the other information from the 2014 leaked documents, and some other info. So get ready, I'm going to read this page. I think it is really interesting, and I just want to share this information with you guys, because this is something that I didn't have a full understanding of until a few years ago, and I feel like a lot of people haven't quite got it. So I'm going to read this, you guys can check out the post in the description, and let's have a look. So this is a really long document, and I'm going to skip parts of it that I think are just not really necessary for what I want to say. So let's just read the parts that are necessary for this. So he writes, yeah, he, Iorveth, was in the base game but got cut for reasons. He just never made sense for the expansions or DLC for other reasons. His previous role in the game was in a quest chain that eventually became the basis for Hearts of Stone, but between the initial implementation for Witcher 3 and the full expansion Hearts of Stone, it was totally rewritten, to the point you wouldn't recognise the quest at all. It was a story about the Catriona Plague, Mr. Mirror, and some Nilfgaardian researchers. Maybe after we're all done with the game, I can drop some more details. The cut stuff with Iorveth was mostly my stuff, so it makes me sad we never got to use him. I think one of my big disappointments with some of the cut content in The Witcher 3 is that we lost a lot of the darker shadings on the Nilfgaardians. The cut stuff wasn't the same quality as the rest of the game, and there's no way we'd have had time to finish it, but the Nilfgaardians do some pretty heinous stuff in the name of law and order. Yeah, they create order and prosperity, but what is that worth to the people that they crush to get there? Wealth and rule of law are pretty pointless when a significant portion of your population have no, or at least very limited access to either. Originally, Iorveth showed up on Velen searching for a cure to the plague ravaging the south, including Mahakam. Geralt has to team up with Iorveth and Roche, Vess and Thaler for very complicated reasons to try and get this cure. The whole plague plotline mostly got cut, though there's some elements of it drifting around in places, like the guy with the corpse wagon who claims he's immune. The quest where you have to get Vess out of a fight with the Nilfgaardians was also part of this plotline, though in a substantially different form. I think the cuts and rewrites really hurt her character, sadly. In the version of her quest that I liked best, she's pissed off because the villagers of Poppyston helped the partisans escape Velen, but the Nilfs found out about it and are going to execute some people. Vess asks Geralt to help her liberate them behind Roche's back. Vess and Geralt go, save some folks and kill some Nilfgaardians. They have a really nice scene together where they talk about the constellations and Elven mythology, then go back to the camp, and Roche throws a hissy fit because he's secretly got to deal with the Nilfgaardians. Most of the quests that characterise the Nilfgaardians as maybe not the most enlightened people in the world got cut. The remainders of that questline are An Eye for an Eye, significantly reduced from design, Patrol Gone Missing, and Blood Ties. Coincidentally, all mine, though I don't think they were my best work, and divorced from the main quest, most people never even see them. In Eye for an Eye, the Nilfgaardians were in that village to kill people who helped the Temerian partisans escape Velen, which is fair in war I suppose, though the original design was for them to be in the village capturing slaves. I must admit, the slavery thing was not my design, and I'm glad it got removed. In Patrol Gone Missing, there is a hidden event that probably 99% of people never see that reveals that the Nilfgaardians were executing prisoners of war. In Blood Ties, the dwarf coachman for the noblewoman is actually a slave, though it's never explicitly mentioned. The quest was pretty Nilfgaard-centric and involved a renegade general and demonologist who was going crazy wizard poo-poo in Velen. Thaler was there, and so was Vincent Mies, but he got cut early. Iorveth was in there trying to steal something from the demon summoning general guy so that he could cure a plague that was killing his dudes. Some part of the old story stuck around, eye for an eye, patrol gone missing, and whatever the one is with the lady who wants you to find her redhead kid. There was also a tiny quest in the Nilfgaard camp about some soldier who stole a pig and tried to make it look like a monster took it. It got cut because it was bad. It was my quest, I'm allowed to say that. The whole Nilfgaard war stuff got cut for mostly just not fitting in well with the rest of the game and simply not having enough time to finish it properly. Yeah, but it's super abstract. By the time we realised that Iorveth's quest wasn't working, he was actually a secondary character in a much bigger story about the war. It was way too late to add something new. About the only thing we'd have had time to do would have been to put his dead body somewhere with a note, which was suggested. I think that would have been a pretty poor conclusion to his story, so it was better to just leave him unresolved. For an idea of what we need to do to even add a small quest, first I need to draft the quest in paper, get approval from the quest lead and the director. This can actually take a couple of weeks, longer if the quest is important. Level design, environment art, character art, audio, cinematics, animation, all need to get asset requests. From a small quest, I'd try to avoid making more than one new character request, more than 2 or 3 locations. Some of the assets will go to outsource, most will be done in-house. While that's taking place, months and months of work, the quest and story teams draft the quest. This can take a while since a lot of stuff that works on paper doesn't work in game for many possible reasons. Once the story is done, the text goes to localization. Our writers all write in Polish. From there, lines are translated into a dozen languages, then sent to the studio to get actors to perform them. Those lines flow back to audio and cinematics, who put them into the game and make sure they sound right. Meanwhile, QA and quest bug fix and iterate on the quest, basically until we ship. This includes bugs of course, but also general feedback. During this phase, entire locations might be moved or redone, characters change, etc., and each team needs to respond to each change. So if QA realizes that we made a mistake, and actually this character shouldn't say this or this, also he should have a red sash instead of a blue one, also his house is in a swamp and it needs to be in a forest, etc., each of those changes means that different teams need to jump in. Textual changes are particularly nasty because it means literally hundreds of people, producers, translators, managers, actors, directors, audio technicians, cinematic artists, etc. all have to deal with it. So I mean, in the super abstract, yes, you are right, giving Iorveth his own side quest wouldn't have been hard. Actually, we gave him a huge quest and multiple side quests and it was even playable, but it got cut and it wouldn't have been simple to replace it at that stage of the project. So yeah, that's a lot of information, but it basically just outlines exactly why Iorveth wasn't in The Witcher 3 and why a bunch of stuff just seemed... The Witcher 3 was an incredible game, but there was a lot of things that it was like, why is that there? I mean, it's so cool they've added this, but there could be so much more with this, you know. They had everything with the Nilfgaardian camp, which is just this massive area that you just look at and it's like, oh, well, there's a couple quests. It just sort of shows they have a presence, I suppose, but it shows that there were all these quests that they designed and there was all these ideas and there was so much that was going on and it just got cut. And obviously it's incredibly frustrating because we would have loved to have seen this. I mean, especially for us that played The Witcher 2 and 1, and people that have played it after playing The Witcher 3 will go back and play 3 and be like, wouldn't it be great to continue Iorveth's story, to see Nilfgaard do more than just kind of, you know, they're invading, we're aware of it, and it's a very big part of the game, but it would have been cool to have more quests actually going over a lot of that stuff, you know. Roche and Vess felt like a relatively small part of the game. It would have been nice to really expand on what was done in 2, and then obviously keep everything that was already in 3. But obviously, The Witcher 3 compared to any game in 2015, well, most games in 2015, to be honest, and even games now, maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 has come a bit closer, is still this massive game with so many quest lines and so much going for it, so you can't really fault it for the stuff they did cut. But of course, I would like it back in. I mean, when they announced that they were going to do a Witcher 3 next-gen update, remaster, whatever you want to call it, I was really hoping they would add some of this stuff back in, because as this dev says, it was largely playable. It had to get cut, but even if they don't think it would fit in the Witcher 3 story, I would just like to see a version of the game with this stuff in. And just, you can call it non-canon, you can call it whatever you want, but if it was made and it was playable, to a point, as he said, I mean, he does say later on that, like, his definition of playable is not the same as mine. It could still be very janky. He says it's playable, but we might be like, what the hell is this, you know? But if they just improved it a bit, I mean, that's what I was hoping for, but they never got round to it. So honestly, I would love to see this stuff sort of added in later on, if there's any way to do that. I mean, it would be amazing. It's a shame all of this stuff got cut. I mean, there's so much other cut content, but this particular quest line, which, you know, involved Iorveth, the Catcher in a Plague, that sort of stuff is fascinating. And there's actually a little bit more information, but I'm not sure about the validity of it, because it was a lot of stuff from leaks, so I'm sure this is the sort of encapsulating full story, but there is a little bit more about where Iorveth could have appeared at different points in The Witcher 3 that we're aware of. So this is a really long Reddit post yet again with loads of different things about how CD Projekt Red definitely planned to include him. I believe this was written before that other information came out, but it was this general summary that I just wanted to quickly cover, and it's that he would have appeared in at least 6 quests: Pyres of Novigrad, Get Junior, 3 large deleted Novigrad side quests, the battle at Kaer Morn, and some other stuff that isn't necessarily important. I mean, there was all the quests that we now know were cut. But yeah guys, that's it for today's video. I hope you've all enjoyed. This has been an interesting subject to talk about. I've said my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you think about all this stuff getting removed, and I'd be curious to know what you think about the fact we never got to have Iorveth in The Witcher 3, which is something that I think we all would have loved. So thanks for watching guys, really hope you've enjoyed today's video. Be sure to like it if you want to see more, there'll be more videos coming soon, so if you like it, it lets me know you want to see more. And just let me know any suggestions, let me know what sort of videos you want to see, let me know what you want me to cover. There's a lot of stuff out there, so I'd be interested to hear it, and yeah, subscribe for more. You know, if you subscribe, you'll see the videos. Trying to get to 4,000 subscribers, that would be great guys. So thank you for watching guys, really appreciate any support, and have an awesome rest of the week. See you later guys.